What's going on, everybody? Today we're trying to win 2 million American dollars over at Underdog Fantasy, competing in Best Ball Mania. What could go wrong? Got plenty of other prizes there as well. I invite you guys to go check out all the games. But yeah, talking strategy, talking ball with my guy, John McKechnie, the absolute godfather of best ball over here at RotoWire. So, John, great to have you on the show, brother. You've had so much awesome best ball content and ranks that, again, everyone can find over at rotowire.com throughout this offseason. How you doing, my man?
Doing great. The sun is shining. Beautiful Wednesday here in mid-July. There's still hay to be made. We got a lot of time still to go, but before week one, so this is still a little bit of a time maybe before the casuals start jumping in these draft lobbies a little bit. So sharp rooms, I'm expecting here, but I think that we can pull off a good team here from the 7 spot.
Probably not setting ourselves up for the most success and getting a soft draft room by going at 1:10 p.m. on a Wednesday in July. But you know what, John? I don't want it to be easy. I want to go ahead and earn these dollar bills for us. And we're going to have to do that out of the 107 spot. So big 3 wide receivers, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson off the board as expected. CMC here would be interesting. Wow, Genty going a little bit higher. You looking at CMC, John, or you want to get spicy and maybe go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, or dare I say Justin Jefferson?
This is tough. I've been trying to play catch up on CMC a little bit lately, actually. So I think this is a good spot to grab him.
I am cool with that. It's just a situation where, again, had a nice conversation with my guy John Daigle about some of the workload curves and kind of the year after and everything. And I do think if you spent the last 2 decades fading running backs after these massive touch seasons, you probably would be right more times than you're wrong. But I will say some of it, man, it's like, yeah, 19 of the 20 guys like average fewer fantasy points the following year. It's like, okay, that's true. But when they're still averaging 17, 18 fantasy points, that's still a pretty good season. And I do feel like just CMC's profile is so freaking unique as someone that can catch 100 plus passes. I'm more willing to take this leap of faith for someone like that than maybe making that mistake with someone like Saquon Barkley again.
Yeah, you're talking about just like an outlier of a guy. I don't know if you follow CMC on Instagram, but he had a crazy workout video the other week, and that resold me on CMC. I'd again been kind of cooled on him where he's been going, but the high knee kicks at a ridiculous speed. I was like, oh no, he's still got it. He's got the burst. He's ready to go.
Blake Corum doing his crazy ball activities as well. CMC, man, I actually heard him talking about, obviously, son of the great Ed McCaffrey, go Broncos, talking about how like Ed always had him like in bed by 8 p.m., doing all the agility stuff. And someone was like, well, I mean, are you mad about that or whatever? Like as a child? And he's like, no. It worked. Look where I'm at now. So shout out to CMC and everything he's done. Kenneth Walker, last running back that made it through kind of that great wall of RBs, John. We also kind of have our pick of the litter at wide receiver, and I am always down for some round 2 Brock Bowers as well. So what say you here?
Okay, so we got week 7, no Chargers. Yeah, I guess Kenneth Walker. I believe there's a Chiefs Niners game in the playoffs. I want to say. I could look.
Man, so you're really buying into all the playoff stacking here.
Yeah. I've at least been drafting with that in mind a little bit more so, at least these last couple weeks. Yeah, that is a week 16 game. So we have the 2 stud running backs in week 16, so that can get us through to week 17. I like how we're starting there.
For those who are not totally aware of the kind of benefits of playoff stacking, the idea is that no, you guys don't need to worry about this in your home league drafts or even just best ball drafts where you're playing in a 12-team league. It's not nearly as imperative, but you know what? We're trying to compete in a tournament with tens of thousands of people out here. So if you are trying to take that leap of faith and knowing just how hard it's going to be for you to kind of get into the playoffs and then advance a round or 2 in the first place, what we're trying to do is, again, potentially stack up those playoff matchups in the same manner that people do in DFS. Okay, you're kind of playing you're playing under the mindset that if we can have multiple players in the same game and that game shoots out, we're going to be benefiting at multiple parts of the lineup. So, John, haven't been doing a ton of that strategy myself. I do think sometimes I get a little bit lost in the weeds, but I must admit, a lot of these BBM winners in the past few years have been leading into week 17 correlation specifically. So there is something there. And even if it is just a small piece of the puzzle, it is a piece nevertheless.
Exactly. So, I mean, I use it basically as like a tiebreaker. Like if I have a bunch of guys on team X, and I'm sort of at a break even point with the other guys that are available on the board, it definitely doesn't hurt their case if they're playing against each other in an important week. Like I feel like the NFC South stuff, like that there's a lot of games that are going to be played indoors late in the season. Like it's hard to forecast exactly what week 17 is
Real
going to
quick,
look like.
John.
Yep.
Smitty, Higgins, Ibuka, or Flowers here?
Smitty.
Preference. Smitty. I love it. Wide receiver 10 in my ranks, which you can also find at rotowire.com. Sorry, please continue.
And Smitty also gets his week 17 against the 49ers.
There you go.
But you can't predict exactly like what the games you need are going to be in week 17. Like last year, everyone was falling over themselves to get Broncos Chiefs. It was like the worst game of the season, right? Yeah. and then what was it? Saints Titans had like 60 points that week as well, and nobody wanted any part of that game. So it can be a fool's errand to like totally project it out, but at least as far as like environment and conditions, like for instance, the Cardinals and the Cowboys, like they both have all their games at that time of the year indoors. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And some of that, man, I try not to get, again, too swept up in it, but I don't love the Lions being outdoor in Chicago in week 17. It's basically the only outdoor game all season that we have to worry about because they got some in domes. They got some earlier season. There's like a Miami October game in there. Of course, the schedule gods had to give us Jared Goff in Chicago in the one freaking week that it really matters more than ever. But, got to have a pretty good team to make it there in the first place, which also goes into things. Jaylen Waddle, Luther Burden, Terry McLaurin, Tedero McMillan, the guys I got queued up, John. I feel like we're fine passing on Jacobs and Montgomery, giving our good RBs.
Yeah, we're good with the receiver here. I'm leaving this one to you, man. I can make arguments for or against any of these guys.
Jaylen freaking Waddle, come on down. More and more, man. I just moved her up in the ranks. What really is the difference in the bull case for DeVonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle, man? I get it. I'm in on Smith. I see it for Ibuka. I see it for McConkey. Like we got these younger talents who we believe to be wide receiver one capable. We lost a target hog. No AJB for DeVonta to deal with. We don't have Tyreek for Waddle anymore. No Evans for Ibuka. No Keenan Allen, who led the 2025 Chargers in targets, guys. That happened, So far, so good for McConkey there. And then we're just really buying into, again, this hopeful JSN-esque ascension and a good scheme. I've seen people criticize Sean Payton, like you really want to deal with a Sean Payton receiver? Yeah, I will. Michael Thomas with a 4.3 40. That's what we're looking at with Jaylen Waddle here, John. So he got top 20 numbers out of Cortland Sutton these last couple years. Like, don't you think it's a little bit like if we're actively saying Sean Payton, one of the greatest offensive minds of the 21st century, objectively, like if we're saying that's a bad thing for a wide receiver, I feel like we're kind of missing the forest for the trees there.
And so sometimes it's ironic because we can be such draft capital slappies. The Broncos basically paid a first round pick to get Jaylen Waddle, who's already like a finished product. Like he's ready to rock. And it's funny looking at our team specifically with Smitty and Waddle, like it takes me back to those old Bama days. Yeah. I thought Waddle was the better pro prospect, but between the two of them, Smitty has kind of made me look foolish for that. But Waddle has monster season written all over him. His best season very well could still be ahead of him, despite having some crazy times with McDaniel down in Miami. So I like this fit for him. The Broncos just throw the ball a ton too.
Bo Nix led the NFL in pass attempts. Now, I get it. If Bo Nix is going to be more bad than good, which is possible, okay, maybe that pick won't look fantastic. But Jaylen Waddle, again, more of a low-end wide receiver, too. Just think he should be closer to guys like Smitty, Ladd, and Ibuka. We are back on the clock, my friend. We could go Travion or Bashaw Tootin as RB3. Watson, Odunze, Carnell Tate, best wide receivers. I'll let you take the wheel here.
All right, we're going running back. Let's grab Tootin. Let's go for it. I want to grab one more running back from this tier. It seems like this year's environment, it is important to get your running back situation sorted out. And I know we're in that proverbial dead zone in the fifth round, but I'm comfortable with Tootin there. And this allows us to grab some receivers or grab our first quarterback here coming back around with our next pick. And we feel great about where our running back room is right now. We can make up some ground at receiver as the draft progresses. So I like our build so far.
I just keep looking at Tootin, man, where, okay, could Chris Rodriguez be more involved than expected? LaQuint Allen Jr. taking some pass down work. I understand, but that's why he's being priced where he is. If we get a week one snap rate of 65, 70% for Tootin, guess what, man? Like if we were redrafting, he's probably going up here with Breece Hall and Chase Brown and these guys in round 3. We love the offense. We can talk a little more about Tootin the player, but again, I just tend to think worrying about C-Rob was like worrying about Zach Moss and Samaje Perine for Chase Brown these last few years. I know, not perfect one for one. Moss got hurt and everything, but you guys certainly see where I'm coming from there. Jalen Hurts is going to be our stacking quarterback option here, and I would be inclined to go with that. Also, Jadarian Price, Tyson, Tyler Warren, someone I also like here. So what are your thoughts, John?
I think I like the Hertz pairing with
Me too.
With Smitty. I will say that we're in a interesting situation here with our bye weeks, because if we want to grab Knicks too, both of our quarterbacks and both of our stacks would be on week 10.
Yeah.
So, who cares about week 10? Yeah,
It's the least important week, objectively. All right, people.
Everyone knows.
No, something to worry about there. But you know what? We have the opportunity to potentially get 3 quarterbacks here, and that has been more and more popular. Have you been buying into that as well for best ball, where it's just like you get to a certain point in the draft and it's well, I don't love Aaron Rodgers necessarily, but he's going to outscore all these, wide receiver 6s he's priced around.
I do like having quarterback depth, even if I do take a more, kind of expensive near the top of the board type of quarterback, because I like to it's sort of like the movie Memento. Like I like to write stuff down during the season, like try to learn some lessons. And there's just some real lean weeks at quarterback sometimes. If you only have 2 quarterbacks and it's like, okay, my one guy's on bye, but like my other guy has been way underperforming or he's hurt, and all of a sudden I'm sunk. So I love having a door number 3 to just kind of make me feel a little bit better on a week to week basis.
I'm just cracking up thinking about like maybe a significant other being like, "Oh, John, what's on your bicep right there?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, 3 quarterbacks, no matter what." Just wanted to make sure I remember that throughout this season.
In the 16th, please.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. So guys, we are getting into round 7 here. Again, started off strong at RB, CMC, and Kenneth Walker. Dipped into that kind of borderline wide receiver 1 tier with DeVonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle. Bashaw Tootin in round 5. Hopefully not a dead zone back. Again, we like the upside. Jalen Hurts to get our stacking buddy with DeVonta Smith here in round 6. So I think we're definitely good to more or less just throw a couple later round darts at running back. Now we can continue to go hard at wide receiver. Quentin Johnson, man, I loved him when he was a lot cheaper. I do like the Chargers offense overall. DK Metcalf, though, I mean, speaking of Rodgers, I do think this is unique because it's kind of the first opportunity to buy Metcalf pretty much at his career floor as opposed to the ceiling.
Right. I mean, we are just QJ was going in like 110 like not that long ago. So I'm a little bit skeptical at this new get-in price. Metcalf or Reed for me here.
Let's go with Metcalf. I like Jayden Reed too, guys. I'm looking forward to the Packers family night snap counts that we now get every single August and hilariously pour over as a fantasy football community and everything. I just, like, in my heart of hearts, John, I think when we see the first Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, who could be the 2 outside receivers, I think it's Watson and Golden. I wish it wasn't. I just think it's going to be.
So I did some digging on this. I wrote an article about 11 personnel, and I know that Reed is sort of like that guy that we're all worried about his snaps getting pinched. But I think a couple things. I think at once the Packers showed last year that they were actually very good in 11 personnel, even if they didn't go to it all that often. 2, I'm pretty sus on Matthew Golden. I know that he can still like eat up those outside snaps, and he is fast if nothing else. And lastly, like, I don't think the Packers have the luxury of over-rotating their receivers this year. Like, once you get past that top 3, Wicks and Dobbs being gone, like, the drop-off now is like, Melton, Savion Williams.
Yeah.
No, you got to keep those top 3 locked in.
All right, about to be on the clock again. I feel like the wide receivers are about to fall off a bit, and I would like to get one more. So Chris Godwin, Josh Downs, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, next top guys up. You have a lean here?
I'd say either Worthy or Pearsall. Just keep going with like our base build with our first couple of picks. I'm good with either of those.
I feel like Pearsall is another one of these guys, man, where if everyone stays healthy in this offense, including Pearsall, I get that's a little bit of a leap of faith. I feel like we're probably ranking him as a wide receiver 4 throughout most of the season, but God forbid Mike Evans or George Kittle or CMC or any one of these other guys go down. Pearsall could be, leaping up. I also just think, man, we've seen it for 2 years. Ricky Pearsall's a better football player than Xavier Worthy. And for wide receivers, I do care about that as a meaningful tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's not all the athleticism. We know it's definitely not all just 40-yard dash
Right.
speed that translates to fantasy points. So you have to have some chops, some some honing to your craft, and Worthy's still a little bit of a ways away as far as that goes compared to Pearsall.
It would be nice to be able. I probably should have checked that bye week. Yeah, we're not dealing with a 10 right there. If our fellas in the draft room just let Purdy fall a little bit, man, I would appreciate that. Would get us free from some of these week 10 bye shackles that we got going on. But everyone through 8 rounds again. CMC, Kenneth Walker, Bashaw, Tootin holding down the running back room. We got DeVonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle early. Went back into getting Jalen Hurts in round 6. Came back around though. DK Metcalf and Ricky Pearsall through 8. So I'm feeling pretty good, man. It's looking like it's going to be more of a late round tight end build. But, Kyle Pitts, Harold Fannin, when these guys, Pitts is already gone. But when I see someone like Harold Fannin, wasn't overly in on him the earlier parts of the off seasons, but maybe it's that groin injury or whatever he's been dealing with. Once I start seeing, triple digit numbers in the ADP next to these tight ends, like I've been way more willing to take cracks at the middle tier at that price.
Yeah, I like Fannin a ton. Like the Browns are going to look a lot different this year, but I do think that one of the things that are going to be a constant this year is Fannin. I think he's the best pure pass catcher that they have on that roster. I'm excited about the rookies that they brought in too, actually, but I think Fannin, it's sort of, as long as he's healthy, it is kind of wheels up for him. And I think, for our first tight end, getting a guy who could very well lead his team in targets, not bad.
Harold Fannin here. Sounds like we're on the same page.
Yep.
Let's do it. I do, again, it's one of these things, man, where I don't want to miss the boat on Brock Bowers. He's so freaking good. And I think in home managed leagues, I feel like I can make up the other positions. You can get like Jared Goff and these late round quarterbacks, round 11 or later. I've been experimenting with the title, but I'm thinking something like a super Bowers draft strategy where you get your running back early in the first 3 rounds. You get 1, you get Brock Bowers in round 2, and then we just take as many shots at that awesome wide receiver tier until it starts to dry up. And then we kind of start worrying about our RB2 and get the late round quarterbacks there. In best ball though, man, as much as I love Bowers and Loveland, even Warren, like I've mixed them in, I do like my overall rosters, I think, even including the tight ends more when I have taken more of a late round approach to the position. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, other guys in this space. I think Hayden Winks did like a really good study about just how late tight ends oftentimes project better than some of the other like flex position guys that go late. So attacking the problem with volume tends to be a pretty good idea. I was streaming with Pat Corain a couple weeks ago. He was definitely a proponent of like going like even 4 tight ends sometimes. So like, yeah, there are just solid guys with solid passive targets. Like maybe like they're not going to be cracking your lineup every single week type of thing, but having like just bodies at tight end, I think you're talking about guys that can really help you as far as just, hey, a random touchdown here and there, and that matters a lot on Underdog, where we're not so worried about them. Like we also need 5 catches on top of that.
Missed our stacking guys a little bit. Knicks went right before us when we took Harold Fannin, and we did not get Purdy to fall to us, which wasn't exactly expected. 2 picks away, Jackson Dart, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, the next best quarterbacks here. We don't necessarily need one. There goes Jackson Dart. He was going to be my push. Thoughts on these QBs? Jordan Mason's the next best running back. We do still have the Jacoby Myers and Wan'Dale Robinsons of the world hanging out at wide receiver.
Big admission here from me. I think Jordan Mason might be my most drafted player so far.
All right. And we just got great news from Matthew Collar saying straight up he expects him to be the lead early down back.
I just think Aaron Jones is cooked, unfortunately. I love Aaron Jones. I think the time for having Aaron Jones on your fantasy team is over.
I tend to agree, man. And Mason last year, like he was good. The offense just completely sucked, which we fully seem to wrap our mind around when talking about Justin Jefferson. But I was looking at just team running back carries inside the 5-yard line. Vikings were tied with the Jets for the 5th fewest in the league, man. Like, again, we knew the Vikings sucked, but I'm not sure everyone knows they were just that bad. Offensive line, no favors as well. So not a guarantee that both those things are going to be flipping in a super meaningful way. But, man, like, look at the other running backs going right now. Bill, Krosky, Merritt. Like, we're at a stage where it's just either clear backups or super hopeful darts. I mean, Jordan Mason, RB1 on the Vikings, seems almost like the most likely outcome.
Yeah, like even if like we're not even asking that much from the Vikings offense, we just want them to get to average. We want to get them
Yeah.
to respectable, like the 16th best offense. That's totally fine. That's going to that's going to have more like game script opportunities for Mason. I just think that he's not going to help us as far as pass catching goes, but he is going to be that guy. In between the tackles, early downs. Short yardage situations. They bring in Damon Claiborne, who I sort of like to galaxy brain myself into occasionally in round 18, just because of the speed. Maybe you're getting like sort of a rookie or Keaton Mitchell profile from him potentially. But Mason, I just feel like when you look at the context of the other running backs that go here, like no one I feel better about in terms of workload than him.
So we are getting smacked by these quarterback hungry folks. I think we should look to try to build up a mini stack right here. Can I interest you, as long as this guy isn't a complete dickhead, Jayden Higgins, and then we can loop back around and get CJ Stroud?
Yes, absolutely. I wrote about Higgins in that same article about the 11 personnel. I do like how Higgins looks for this year. I was talking to Joe Bartle actually about him in this offense this morning. Oh, Kittle actually went where he kind of should go. I've been pushing back against Kittle going as early as he does for the entire offseason. So it's good that this draft room also thinks that should not be drafting him in the top 100 picks or whatever.
I love Kittle too, and I'm happy that he has a chance to come back in week 1, but just the overall certainty that it's like with Kittle, Scadaboo, and Judkins, everyone's saying, oh, they should be back week 1. We're good to go then. And I'm wondering if the 33-year-old tight end coming off an Achilles, I don't care what type of torn Achilles it was still an Achilles.
I know.
Dude, and it's the thing, like with Kittle, we've needed him to be one of the best tight ends alive to make up for not having that great of a target share. I mean, he's cheaper than he would be otherwise, so I get it. But he hasn't been like this can't miss click for me the way some people make it out to be.
The copium that you were alluding to there with like he tore his Achilles, but it was high up in the tendon. Right. Actually, it's like how far do we have to bend over backwards to make this make sense? It's so nuts.
I've gotten a decent amount of Higgins. I drafted a ton of Nico Collins, and then if I haven't gotten Nico, I've been kind of down to try to get Higgins and even things out that way. So luckily, that little maneuver worked for us, and now we can take CJ Stroud and not be completely screwed at quarterback. So I was getting a little worried there, man. I'm not going to lie, but I feel like we have gone ahead and made up some ground. Again, could CJ Stroud absolutely suck? Okay, but we are playing best ball. We're trying to stack things up. We are trying to draft like we are going to be right. And so far, man, I think this running back room, again, Mason, Tootin, McCaffrey, and Walker up there with anyone. We got DeVonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle, DK Metcalf, Ricky Pearsall, and Jaden Higgins at receiver. And even managed to get a consensus top 8 tight end, Harold Fannin, without missing the boat too much. I'm liking the start.
I do too, and again, like going back to the memento metaphor, like I'm at once like a little bit like, oh, we need more tight end, but like there are good tight ends later, and in fact, like with Houston, you can backstack them so easily. Like Schultz, it's not exciting, it's not, but hey, like he's going to get targets in that offense, and we can get him later, and just kind of like have Houston sutured up for whatever that's worth.
And we always talk about how there's not that big of a difference between like tight end 10 and tight end 23. And there's not. I mean, there's probably a more exact range for it. But again, we see it every year where it's like 8 or 9 tight ends, 1.1 total PPR points are kind of dividing these guys. And yeah, Dalton Schultz is someone who has firmly been in that conversation here in past years. So quarterbacks continuing to fly. We can take something else here and then maybe come back to an Aaron Rodgers. You know what? I would like to get 3, but like we have Hurts and Stroud. It's not the end of the world if those are going to be our 2 quarterbacks. We also with Fannin could always just take, a last round Shador or even Deshaun Watson or something if you're into that. So going to be back up on the clock here. Tre Tucker, Jalen McMillan, Denzel Boston, some of the best receivers. We also have Woody Marks, Pacheco. Any thoughts?
Let's see. How are we on week 10 for a receiver?
Oh yeah, I don't want McMillan. Not great. Tre
yeah,
Tucker,
I think Tucker. Unless we want to lean into Cleveland, I think we got to go Tucker here.
Let's go Tre Tucker. I did not miss my pick. I had it queued up. Underdog, chill out, making me look stupid in front of everyone. So, no, man, with Tucker, it is a thing where I know Jalen Naylor, he got named as a potential breakout guy, and Okay, that's fine. I mean, I think Naylor and Tucker, they're both going as late as they are. Not the sexiest picks. Could the answer between Tucker and Naylor just kind of be no? Yeah, I do think that's possible. But also in our case, man, now gives us yet another out at quarterback, and we could honestly loop back and just get Fernando Mendoza instead of the 42-year-old playing in Pittsburgh. So a little bit of room there, and I like it. We need one more running back, I would say. Or do you like holding that 4?
Let's see. So our 4 is pretty strong. We got CMC Walker, we've got Tootin, and
Amazing.
well, I mean that is and no bye week conflict, so we could theoretically stick it 4. That's not usually how I draft either, but I do feel like we're in a position here where we can go best player available, or not like force a running back pick necessarily if we don't like what's available right this second.
Tank Bigsby is the guy I keep drafting, but man, again, we're doing pretty good there. There's no wide receivers I'm just dying to get. There's no immediate awesome values in ADP. I say we just take what quarterback we want. It's a little bit of a reach, but it's not too much. Cool. Mendoza or Aaron?
Mendoza. I like him. He gets us the Tucker, and I mean, we're not going to need him all season, but so like I'm not worried about September for Mendoza. I feel like Hurts and Stroud will be fine for us then. And by the time that Mendoza takes over, no looking back. And I think that Vegas the odds makers have Vegas as one of the more improved offenses in the entire league this year. And if Tucker really gets the shot, like if we kind of evade the big scary veteran free agent signing at receiver in Vegas, then all of a sudden, like for doing nothing, our Tre Tucker and Jalen Naylor shares have appreciated immensely.
Could Kirk Cousins start the whole season? I'm going to say no. I don't think there's a world where that happens, man. We see this time and time again with these highly drafted quarterbacks, and just even looking at the schedule, give the Raiders week 1 against the Dolphins. Fine. At the Chargers, loss. At the Saints, I'm going to say that's a loss. Chiefs, loss. Now we're sitting there 1-3. Tom Brady's going, what's happening? And then the Raiders travel to New England. Tom Brady's going to watch his lovely Patriots blow the freaking doors off his Raiders while everyone in the media complains about no Fernando Mendoza. Week 6, week 7, home against the Bills and Rams. Maybe not the easiest matchups in the world. I get it. I think we see Mendoza by week 6. And again, to John's main point, we certainly have the firepower at quarterback to rest until we get there. So love that call. We are now good on quarterback here. Probably got to start paying a little more attention to tight end. Also, again, one more running back at some point, but don't think it needs to be a Dylan Sampson or Alvin Kamara in this build. So AJ Barner, Greg Dulcich, Gunnar Helm, any of those guys doing something for you?
I know that. So we're going to need a third tight end, but I'm smashing Barner here.
Week 11 bye. Is that worrying you? Do you care?
We'll just need a third tight end, but I think we can pull this off.
Cool. AJ Barner, talk to me.
I just think he's really good. I think that he's just sort of like the I don't know who to compare him to exactly, but he's a guy that in terms of I looked at our ceiling versus floor projections. In his ceiling case, like we could be getting like a fringe top 100 player this late in the draft. I think that, JSN eats up so much of the targets there in Seattle. How many targets realistically are Cooper Kupp and Shaheed going to get? I think Shaheed's good. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think Barner showed a certain rapport with Darnold last year. I think he's a really good guy in the red zone. So I'm hunting touchdowns. I think Barner's a guy, like one of those bets that could kind of Dallas Goddard it and like find his way into double-digit touchdowns this year. I like Barner.
Dude, and he was also the best short yardage dude because they use him on the tush pushes. What if they started doing that at the 1 yard line without Charbonnet in town? One of these years, man, those tush push tight ends, there's a couple of them around the league now. One of these years, they're going to do that at the 1 yard line. This dude's going to score 6 rushing touchdowns to completely break the position. So I'm on some Barner with you.
When you're looking back at your teams and you label this one, this will just be tush push city because we got Barner and Jalen Hurts.
Now, normally I would say Terrence Ferguson, but we cannot go 3 tight ends. Week 11
bold even there. For us.
Kate Otten, I've been drafting Alvin Kamara, Ray Davis. Thoughts here? MarShawn Lloyd. Every team's a MarShawn Lloyd team, John.
You know what? Let's take a walk on the wild side. Let's get some MarShawn Lloyd.
Let's get some MarShawn Lloyd. Another week 11 bye. But luckily, we don't have to deal with that at running back the same way. Man, with Lloyd, dude, this is the third straight year I've been saying this. So, everyone feel free to ignore me. If you did the last 2 years, you're feeling good. But it's wild to me that Lloyd still barely, man, I'm chasing him up ADP. It doesn't seem like everyone else is, but all the stuff going on with Josh Jacobs. The good news that Lloyd is, in fact, healthy. The good news they didn't add anyone to replace Emmanuel Wilson. I understand Chris Brooks is there, but I just think everything's going great for Lloyd. And everyone's just saying, well, he's been hurt. And he has been, but it's not like we're looking at someone whose ankle was sideways this time last year. Like, it's been one annoying injury after another, but none that should necessarily make us think that this dude isn't capable of being a good football player if the injury guys just chill the hell out for one time, John.
Yeah, third time's going to be the charm. It's funny. So Lloyd is this guy for you. Ray Davis has actually been this guy for me. Like, I went to Georgia. I love James Cook, but I've been like really slow to believe that he can be a workhorse in the NFL. And I've been like, Ray Davis is like a guy, I swear to God. And it hasn't been the case, obviously, in the NFL so far. Maybe this is the year for Davis, but I like Lloyd for this build. And, I've been trying to like have my earmuffs on and not get too excited about Lloyd, but I'm taking the earmuffs off lately, and I have been starting to draft Lloyd a little bit more, and I'm glad we did here.
So we're going to need, I think we can probably find a wide receiver that suits us in round 18. I got Michael Mayer, Mike Gesicki, Pat Freiermuth starred right now. Charlie Kohler has been a talking point recently. I would say the grossest we can get would be Eric All. Any of these guys sticking out to you?
Yeah, I dabble with some Eric All in the last round, but I will be I've drafted too much Darnell Washington. I feel like Pat Freiermuth actually works for this build, and he's just sort of boring, safe. That's kind of the tight end like archetype that we need probably here.
Let's see. Who does Pat Freiermuth play in week 11? That's my immediate question. Because, man, if Pat Freiermuth could just give us one good week there. Oh, the Eagles. Whatever. We needed them. I don't want to hear any backlash from you guys. We'll see how that goes. Round 18. Favorite wide receiver, John. Go.
Let's get Jaylen Noel.
Ooh. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because we don't have
over Tank.
Yes, over Tank for sure. Because you're talking about the ankle sideways stuff or not having that with Lloyd. Like, unfortunately, we don't know what Tank Dell looks like after what happened to him in KC on like over Christmas a couple years ago. So Jaylen Noel, I loved his profile coming out of college. I think he's pretty good. I know that he didn't have much of a chance to like showcase it last year. And again, we're all a little bit leery on Houston's offense, but for this build, we are not leery of it. We think that Houston is going to be a value offense in this environment. I like Jaylen Noel here as our last pick.
Well, lucky for you, Rashad Bateman already got drafted, so I can't try to sell you on that propaganda he has in my favorite round 18 clicks. So I'm with you, man. Jaylen Noel, someone who I just think at this point in time in 2026, sadly, a better football player than Tank Dell.
Obviously, what about Tyquan Thornton too, though?
I'm feeling Noel and just kind of going with the CJ Stroud Houston thing. I dabble with Tyquan Thornton as well. I'm not anti-Thornton. The Chiefs, the Colts, and Washington. Those are the three teams. I just feel like it's a matter of when, not if, they add another wide receiver. Maybe that, but on the other side, I was saying this on Twitter about the Colts, and Jacob Sanderson was like, I hear you, but the Colts also just kind of leave these big holes in their roster, even if they shouldn't. The Chiefs have been doing that wide receiver, so maybe they are actually going to be okay with this. But God, that depth, man, really is just such a disaster. I would be surprised. So I've sprinkled in some Tyquan Thornton. I'm just not going completely in on round 18.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I guess like Thornton, he's so like far post hype. He was really bad on the Patriots, but like on a small sample, he was pretty good last year. And if Worthy is bad there, and Rice, if he gets dinged up or anything, there needs to be some version or some semblance of receiver production there in KC. I feel like Thornton at least has like somewhat of like his foot in the door to getting some routes, some targets, at least as among those late round guys.
I was in one of the alleged fantasy expert industry drafts last night, and we are doing a 15 team 20 round best ball draft. So that
Ooh.
was very interesting. Trying not to fall behind at some of those positions. But shout out to the great Matt Kelly over there, player profiler. He took Patrick Mahomes and just announced to everyone, pretty sure Mahomes didn't tear his arm, did he? So one of those things, man, where I know I get it. I've run the numbers and told you guys about him with Mahomes, and the rushing upside last year is how he got back. But man, if he does figure out the passing thing, again, we're going to be looking at Worthy and Taekwon ADPs and saying, wow, we really missed the boat on that one. But for this one, guys, again, out of the 7th spot right here, Team Free Duke Johnson started off with a superhero RB build, CMC and Kenneth Walker, rounds 1 and 2. Came back and got the Bama teammates, DeVonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle. Love being able to get the fellas together in rounds 3 and 4. Bashaw Tootin in round 5. Jalen Hurts to get our stacking buddy with DeVonta Smith in round 6. DK Metcalf and Ricky Pearsall kind of loading out that wide receiver room in round 7 and 8. I don't know about you, John, but I really do like these builds when I can get at least 4 of these wide receivers before, I would say, round 9 at the latest, because, sure, I like my Travis Hunter, Dart, and Casey Concepcion's fun, but I feel like you just see, man, Downs, Golden, Worthy, Pittman, Wilson. That's round 9. After that, I really struggle to feel overly great about pretty much anyone, man. If you're really having to play, from behind at wide receiver, I should say.
Yeah, there's a definite cliff there. I mean, like Downs, I like Josh Downs a lot, and I think he's going to have the best year of his career. But it's like, he's just like one of those guys I prefer on DraftKings. Same goes for Myers. So like I love Team 2's build if this was DraftKings, but less so here. And Dobbs is a guy that like I'm just sort of neutral on, but I'm definitely not drafting him unless I already have Drake May. Like I'm not really like, oh yeah, baby, give me that Romeo, that sweet Romeo Dobbs. Like that it's just not all that exciting of a profile to me. Like if I want to get a little bit crazier with it, like I'm probably going like Concepcion, Wandale, or Coker. But admittedly, again, like there is like a cliff once you get past the aforementioned like round 9 tier.
Instead, we got Harold Fannin, kind of the last of that mid-tier of tight end twos there, which, hey, a full 2-round discount versus someone like Tucker Kraft. 1 for 1, I get it. Give me Tucker Kraft, but Harold Fannin, I do like that value there. That gave us a pretty balanced roster going to the second half of the draft, so we were kind of able to just make sure we get our other quarterbacks and tight ends, not dealing with that frisky, bye week problem going on there. But again, taking the value as it came. That wasn't the foreign Jordan Mason round 10, someone who John and I both really do like at that price tag. Again, there are situations where, we missed out on some of the quarterbacks we wanted. We were hoping Bo Nix would get to us. That didn't happen. Also had, hopes that Brock Purdy would fall. That, again, was not the case. So there are a handful of situations. You can do it with Jalen Coker and then Bryce Young. You can do it with Wandale Robinson, then Cam Ward. We happen to do Jaden Higgins and CJ Stroud, round 11, round 12 term. Good move to be able to get the stack there. Obviously got Jalen Nolan, round 18, as we talked about, to complete that Houston stack. Tre Tucker, Fernando Mendoza, another example of that, again, in rounds 13 and 14 to really fill out the quarterback room. AJ Barner, Pat Fryermuth, and of course, my guy, MarShawn Lloyd, to basically round things out. So how are we feeling, John?
I like this team. It doesn't look exactly like all my teams, so I just kind of like stepped out of the old comfort zone a little bit and just try to just be real objective, leave my biases at the door here. And I think what came out here, we built a nice little team here. Like this is a team that I think has some legs to it.
I feel like we are live. Now, could we look at it in week 4 and say what the hell we were thinking? Of course,
Sure.
but that's just kind of a reality of fantasy football and can be the case all the time. I go back to last year, man. I drafted a ton of teams with my buddy Dwayne McFarland over at Real Time Sports. And like the first team, we just missed the boat so bad on running back and ended up being this ridiculous 0 RB team that I was convinced was just one of the worst teams ever. And it somehow made the playoffs. So again, July thoughts. We all want to be optimistic. I recognize maybe this won't be the best team ever, but I do think, again, given the stacks, given just the overall roster distribution, we gave ourselves a chance, which is kind of all you can ask for. But John, great stuff, man. I'm sure we'll get you back here on the show, get some more drafts going throughout the rest of summer. But you mentioned most recent article on RotoWire is your 11 personnel piece.
That's right. Looking at just kind of like EPA and usage from the 11 personnel, it's kind of a companion piece to writing on like the 12 and 13 proliferation. That's a big hot button topic. Just more tight ends. which offenses are going to benefit from that, who's good at it. So wrote a couple of those, and then using our guy Paul Mamino's ceiling floor projections on RotoWire, I wrote up some guys that I like taking late on DraftKings specifically. Those were all guys from ADP 160 or later. So some conventional guys, some deeper cuts. I think I even mentioned Colby Young in there. So I think I was just, my brain was just going completely nuts at that point. Must have been the last thing I wrote about that day. But late round targets for DraftKings using ceiling projections is up on the site as well.
Guys, John is a great guy with a better mustache, I will say. You're looking good, my friend. Make sure you follow him over on the old Twitter sphere at Johns_tailgate. Colby Young, man. Okay, so you are a complete Georgia homer. We can just say that now.
He went to Miami first. No, but yeah, no, I'm a dog through and through. I feel like if he didn't get hurt against Ole Miss the first time, he could have been drafted a few rounds higher this past year. But alas, I just think more than anything, like I was looking at our ceiling projections. I won't take too long on this, and it circled Yoshivas as a guy who could like really like beat his like floor case versus his ceiling one. And it's like, well, I'm taking that role and I'm just plugging in Colby Young. It's the old like Family Guy mystery box thing, because it's not a boat with Yoshivas. It's a guy with a career yards per route run of 0.8. Like I'm not interested in that. I'd rather just roll the dice. Last pick, Colby Young. Like I just think that the Bengals, like they might throw for 5,000 yards this year if Burrow's healthy. There has to be a third option behind Chase and Higgins. I think there's a chance that maybe Young does something for us somewhere along the way.
And I mean, 6'5", 218, sub 4.5 speed. Is it wrong to love freaking massive dudes who can run fast, John? I don't think so. I mean, this is America.
They just copy pasted T Higgins basically. So that's what I'm saying. You're drafting in the last round. Simple as.
Mitchell Tinsley. Does he mean nothing to you? AFC Isaac Tesla?
Tinsley ruined my Thanksgiving last year. The Bengals just ruined my Thanksgiving last year. I'm a Ravens fan, but I do remember Tinsley doing some stuff in that game, I think. And Burrow was like counting down the play clock, and he hit us with a 6-7. It was like, I'm so annoyed right now. I ate too much and I'm tired, but now I'm really mad that we're getting memed on national television.
Before we get out of here, I need your take. Zachariah Branch, all right? Someone who I remember when he first got to USC, again, former #1 wide receiver in his class. Like just the first couple games, he had a punt return touchdown, and this dude just looked like he was moving at a different speed than everyone else. I don't love the fact that Lincoln Riley and that offense couldn't quite figure it out with him. And I know at Georgia, it was one screen, one RPO after another, but do you hold that against them, or is that just kind of like what your guys' offense has been doing? Because it has been years, man, where, that Lab McConkey guy was pretty good, even if he wasn't putting up bonkers numbers. Like, do you hold that more so against Zachariah Branch, the player, or is it just your wonky freaking offense you guys are running down there?
Wonky offense. Gunnar Stockton, if you look a little bit closer, like he couldn't hit anything down the field or over the middle. Like they have these great tight ends that, like Oscar Delp, for example, no production to point to, because Stockton, he has like the Madden vision, but it's just completely blocking the middle of the field. So basically Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, just had to go, okay, we're running the Zach Branch screen for a first down play again. So like that, if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So like, that's why Branch, kind of has that really weird, like screen heavy type of profile from his last year in college. But I think the team context is great in Atlanta. Like you're talking about no real receiver other than Drake London there. Yeah. I'm not afraid of Olamide Zaccheaus or who's the Jahan Dotson. Come on. Like, I'm willing to take. Now he has like risen, a couple rounds, so it was a different discussion round 17 versus now. But I like Branch. I do think that he's electric with the ball in his hands. I think the Falcons are going to find a way to get him the ball. He provides a different look than London or Pitts, as far as those pass catchers go. So color me interested in Branch. I'm happy to have the shares that I do.
Definitely DraftKings full PPR. I could see being more in on that. I mean, we've seen Kevin Stefanski force feed Jarvis Landry some of those, shorter screens and, lower ADOT stuff before. Different players for sure. Jarvis Landry could probably eat Zachariah Branch. I get it. He's not a very big guy, but no, man, again, it's just one of those things where I think sometimes we get the screen merchant and we just hear that over and over again for months on end. And it's like, yeah, okay, but To be a screen merchant, you do have to be good enough for an offensive coordinator at freaking Georgia to basically run the whole passing game through you. I mean, that does mean something. And I'm not so sure it's a negative,
100%. So I think there's more he can do. My comp for him, like during the season last year, is like, man, like imagine if Mecole Hardman was good at football. Like like that's what Branch looked like to me. Like there's like a sort of like sensibility to Branch's game that felt like it was lacking a little bit for Mecole Hardman. Love Mecole Hardman, touchdown in the Super Bowl to win it a couple years ago, but Branch I think like has a little bit more polish to his game.
Fantastic comp, John. Well, man, you were awesome. Looking forward to talking to you again. Looking forward to all your work, except if, Georgia and Ohio State have to meet again, then we'll be rivals.
Oh, dear. Yeah, we will be.
For a good week there. But look forward to that. Look forward to, again, more John's work over at RotoWire.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you like the video, then please like the video. Hitting that subscribe button always helps us out as well. So for John, I'm Ian. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, take care, everybody.